Man, I can only imagine what this film would be like if Johnny Depp was in it, especially with what he's going on with today. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of The Invisible Man, the remake from director Leigh Whannell. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button, enjoy Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So we all know about it. We all know about the Dark Universe. It was originally started with The Mummy that had Tom Cruise in it. It was going to be this whole big creative universe that had The Mummy, Invisible Man, which was going to have Johnny Depp. It had the Wolfman. It had all these, classic monster characters kind of in their own MCU style universe. But the Mummy failed and everything collapsed on itself. So everything went dormant. And, the best thing kind of happened with The Invisible Man, where we had Jason Blum, who is a very famous producer, basically acquire the franchise and bring Leigh Whannell on board, who he had worked with on Upgrade and some other films, like Insidious and stuff like that. And they decided to make this a contained story. They decided to have a message in this movie, which is kind of like the Me Too movement. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And they brought Elisabeth Moss on board to become the star of this film, and she is a fantastic actress. She was in Mad Men, and of course, The Handmaid's Tale. And she fit perfectly for this film because she's one of those people that can kind of carry her own movie. She just is a very, very dynamic, very interesting actress that does a lot of good work. And then so we have the story of this woman who is basically in a relationship with this really popular, inventor. He has done a lot of stuff in the computer space and technology space. He is played by Oliver Jackson-Cohen, who plays Aiden. And this is a character that we don't see through most of the movie, obviously, because he is the Invisible Man. Anyways, she's in an abusive relationship with this guy, and she escapes. She gets out, and she goes to stay with her friend, who is played by Aldis Hodge. And basically, everything seems fine, but the problem is she's so kind of shocked, and she's so, she's under that effect of, the abusive nature of the physical and mental abuse that she's been put on for her whole entire relationship. So she struggles. Well, this is the Invisible Man, so she starts to suspect that her boyfriend slash husband is alive because he committed suicide, like we saw in the trailer. And she starts suspecting that she is being stalked by him, so she tries everything in her power to convince everyone around her that she is being stalked, but she can't prove it because there is no one around her. I mean, most of this movie is her just staring at invisible things, like they're not invisible things, staring at empty spaces. So you're like, where's this guy at? Because he's somewhere in this room. I mean, it's just the Invisible Man. So, anyways, so when you're watching this movie, you are on the edge of your seat. You're kind of tense. You're kind of like, where could this guy be? And then situations start happening. The more and more she starts freaking out, the more and more she becomes more paranoid to everyone, and it just becomes a psychological thriller and a way of playing against her mind and against her type and stuff like that. She's given $5 million by her late ex-husband, who is her brother. His brother is basically the trustee, and he gives her the money as long as she doesn't commit any crimes or stuff like that. So we see in the trailer, that stuff's gonna happen. And yeah, I mean, it's a movie about her trying to prove that this guy is still alive and why he exists. And I'll be honest with you, this once again proves to me why Leigh Whannell is a fantastic psychological director. The guy knows his craft very, very well. I think it also helped that he worked with James Wan, because when they worked on the Saw franchise, they knew how to kind of get into the mind and the psyche of just deranged human beings. And that's what these characters are in this movie outside the Elisabeth Moss character. They're deranged human beings that do deranged human crazy stuff. And he just does it to perfection. You look at Upgrade and those characters, and this movie has similar, shots and similar scenes like Upgrade. And it's just a really fascinating thing to watch when you see how the Aiden character is kind of affecting everything, and when you can see how he's trying to frame the Celia character, it's really kind of interesting and unique. It's not perfect because there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of jumps in logic in this movie, but it really is an intense thriller that really seems contained in this central location. But when it starts becoming bigger, and when you start realizing how this character of Aiden is creating all this invisibility and stuff like that. It's really fascinating, I guess you could say. I really enjoyed it, but I think Elisabeth Moss is fantastic in this movie. She's literally playing against nothing. She's doing the kind of like what John Cusack did in 1408, or Tom Hanks did in Castaway. She is basically using every single emotion that she has learned as an actress and just throwing it out there, just pushing it out there on the screen, and it's just really kind of raw. It's really kinetic. The nature of the abuse situations that she has gone through really kind of shows through when she starts kind of being shown that she may be crazy, and she doesn't believe she's crazy, and we know she's not crazy because we kind of are with her through the entire movie. And her sister, who is played by Harriet Dyer, she is someone who is trying to be there for her sister, but because of what Aiden is doing, or what we think Aiden is doing, it causes a rift between the two. So it's a really kind of interesting, fascinating take on somebody who has gone through such a traumatic experience, like in the Me Too movement, and she's finally kind of trying to go past it, but it's still coming back to haunt her. And that's where I'm getting into the Me Too stuff. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but when you look at this situation, when you look at somebody who's gone through a traumatic experience like this, and she is trying to prove that somebody has done this to her and has created this emotional, problem, and everybody is trying to support her, but they think she is maybe going too far. It's just like every other situation in real life where people have to hide their, emotions and hide their sensibilities and hide their, damage that they've, been occurred upon them. And I think that's really fascinating. I think that's interesting to put into a movie like this. Will it work for everyone? No, because people will kind of find this a little too heavy-handed and a little too in the face with that kind of, talk and speak and, what we've been dealing with in today's society, especially in the last few days of this, when this movie is coming out. But yeah, I mean, this movie it's great to watch. It's great to look at. It's very hard to watch because there's some very crazy violence in this movie. But yeah, Leigh Whannell he's a fantastic director. He knows how to shoot tension, especially when there's a sequence that you see in the trailer, which they did kind of spoil, where certain things start happening, certain emotions start to happen, and it really has like a sense of like awe, and it's inspired and it's creative, and it uses similar things like he did, in Upgrade and stuff like that. So it's really kind of fun to watch. It's really cool that Storm Reid is in this movie. She is an actress that has been in a few movies, but hasn't been given a lot to do in those movies, and here she has kind of an emotional core. But with that said, there's a lot of problems with this movie. There's a lot of jumps in logic, a lot of leaps that take really weird kind of directions, where characters end up and how they get to certain places. It feels like there's certain plot holes that weren't explored like they should have been. And then on top of that, some of the visual effects don't work. And then, like I said, the idea behind the Invisible Man itself, I think, is a little too futuristic for my taste. I like the ideas of what they were doing, like in the original, Invisible Man or maybe Hollow Man, but this goes into more of a sci-fi techie thing, and so it kind of deters it a little bit. But it's not saying it makes it bad, because what Elisabeth Moss does with this particular idea is really creative, and makes it kind of a satisfying conclusion to the movie. But yeah, it's a very interesting take on the Invisible Man material. But yeah, this movie is gorgeous. I got to see it in the Dolby AMC theater, so you get to see it with that laser projection, and it looks gorgeous. It looks amazing to watch. The sound really kicks when it's supposed to. It does have some tense moments. It has some jump scares, which are fine when it works. But I feel, like I said, Elisabeth Moss she's commanding her performance in this movie. She is giving it her all, and it really kind of just displays itself on the screen in the theater. And this once again proves why not only is Elisabeth Moss one of our greatest actresses working today, but one of our most talented and diverse actresses working, who is just giving some really kind of raw emotion, and I just really kind of give her a lot of credit for that. But yeah, this movie is definitely a win. Jason Blum just came out with Fantasy Island, which was a terrible movie, so seeing this movie come into the theaters and do a very, very good job at what it's doing with some flaws is fantastic. So I definitely recommend this movie. I think you'll have some fun. Like I said, there is a couple of violent moments in this movie that get kind of graphic. But like I said, you go for the performances, you go for the intense nature, and just to let you know, it's not a horror film. It's more of a psychological thriller. So that keep in mind when you see it. So, but anyways, that's my take on The Invisible Man. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the material of The Invisible Man. Do you like Hollow Man? Do you like the original Invisible Man? What do you think about this movie coming out? Do you really excited for it, so on and so forth? But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video to watch my channel. Otherwise, see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.